Okay. The only one that's voted against.
Good
apparently.
evening. December 9th.
Commissioner Devine?
Here.
Gantis?
Yes.
Coleman? And for the record, Commissioner Abkarian and Manukian are absent.
Next item.
Minutes?
Move for approval without reading.
Was I here at that meeting? Can I second it?
Yes, you can.
Second?
Devine?
Yes.
Gantis?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes, as to items, excuse me, I was not here until item number 6, Mr. Chairman.
Correct.
Apparently so. I cannot vote on the meetings. Well, let's see. I'm looking at the Ms. Varapatian. The first 5 items are basically, recruitment, examination status, eligible list. Those are pretty standard stuff. I don't think they required any action, so I think I'm able to vote on all of them. Am I correct?
You are, and if you were to abstain, the motion would still carry, so we're safe.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much. Next item.
Oral communications?
I have no cards. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to something not on the agenda? All right. Oral communications are closed. Next item.
Recruitment and examination status report.
Mr. Doyle.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, the item before you is the recruitment and examination workload status report. As you can see, there are all of the active recruitments that are currently in process, listed by each of the staff members performing them. We have dates for the filing periods, exams if they've been scheduled, and other items of interest. If you have any questions on any of these, be happy to try and answer them. If not, this is a note and file item.
Any questions, gentlemen? Hearing none. Next item.
Eligible list established.
Mr. Doyle.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this item to open, to
promotional, and of course one reinstatement list. The name of the classification is listed, as is the department, the total number of applicants received, and then the far right column you have the total number who made the eligibility list. Again, this is a note and file item. If you have questions, be happy to try and answer them.
Just a quick question. Under Public Works, bulletin number 7276.
Yes.
Open, 97 applicants, and only 2 on the eligibility list.
That's correct.
My question is, what is a fleet examiner or manager?
Well, this is a position, actually the class specification came to you a few months ago. This is a new position which would be overseeing the consolidated garage operation. As you may recall, we currently have 4 separate garages: police, fire, GWP, and Public Works, and we've reorganized it really for efficiency purposes and cost savings, and to have it all, the entire operation, under one management level position reporting to the Director of Public Works. This was a pretty challenging process, given the fact that it is an upper management position. We not only did an open recruitment process, but a fairly extensive multiple interview panel process where we had a traditional oral board panel with professional staff members, people from other cities involved, and we also had 2 additional panels consisting of one of the department heads of really the 4 departments that are going to be served by this individual, and then the other internal interview panel consisting of the operational staff people who would be working with this individual. And essentially the candidates had to pass all 3 of these panels, and it was...
You can stop right there.
Okay.
The reason I asked is I just simply wasn't at that meeting.
Okay.
And
I have a
these gentlemen... Yes, go ahead.
continue with the fleet manager? Because my question is, we have 2 on the eligibility list. Do we
Right.
go back out again, or can they accept just the 2?
That's a very good question, Commissioner Gantis.
Finally, 10 years later, I asked the good questions.
Been waiting a long time.
I heard you laughing out there. I heard that. Mark that down, Matt.
Theoretically, the Director of Public Works can ask to go out. We are obligated under the rules to provide 3 names, and he can insist upon 3 names if he so desires. In this case, I think we're fairly confident that amongst these 2 candidates, through this vetting process, he'll be pretty pleased with the individuals we have. But if for some reason he's not, and maybe one or 2 of these happen to drop out, then we would be in a position to go open again and perhaps advertise elsewhere and expand the search a little bit more. So it's either way, but it's up to the Public Works Director.
So he's got the option. He could take the 2, but he can insist on 3.
That's correct.
Do you know if those 2 came from within or without the department?
They're from the outside.
Both of them are outside.
That's correct.
Any other questions? Next item, please.
Presentation of Glendale Supervisory Academy, Class of 2009.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, I'm very pleased to present to you a few of the members of the Class of 2009 of our Glendale Supervisory Academy. As you folks are well aware, we have had this program in effect now for 4 years. This is our 4th graduating class. This is a program that we put together to address what I would call some very critical succession planning concerns that we have in the organization. And what we've done is asked each department to nominate individuals to be part of this program and really to take part in it's a year-long classroom setting of a cohort in the cohort format, where the individuals will go through and really participate in 10 classes over the course of the year, dealing with topics relating to supervision, leadership, and really hoping to prepare them to lead this organization in the future. This year we started last January with a group of approximately 50 participants. By the end of the year, we ended up with a graduating class of 42. And it's not to say that the others dropped out, but some of them were unable to make all the classes, so they'll have to make up some classes, and they'll probably be part of next year's group. But nevertheless, we're very proud of the group of people that we have here. Again, there are 42 graduates. It looks like we have a much smaller group but here today. But I would like them to be recognized by the Commission and have them come up, not to embarrass them too much, but if you all could come on up and at least introduce yourselves, what department you're with, and we can acknowledge you. So,
Okay. Good evening, Mindy Lieberman at the library.
Hi there, I'm Eric Brum from Information Services.
David Miranda from Integrated Waste.
Gerald Tom, Traffic and Transportation.
Good evening, Ken Hitz, Redevelopment.
Good evening, Tad Dombrowski, Public Works, Traffic and Transportation.
Hello, Chris Baxter, Planning Department. Community Planning Department.
Get that right.
Anyway,
Well, congratulations to you all.
Aren't we missing one member, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, we are.
We're integral members, I recall.
Missing more than one.
Integral member.
All 5 members of the Civil Service Commission were at the award ceremony, and we were there specifically to honor all of you and recognize the accomplishment that you all achieved. So, job well done. Thank you very much.
Agree. Congratulations.
give them a hand. Thank you all very much. And I do want to thank as well. Glad you reminded me that the commission was there in attendance, and I appreciated you being there. I also want to thank Mayor Quintero for his presence there and support, as well as Council Member Laura Friedman. I would like to also acknowledge Amy Martin, who is the coordinator of this program and all of the citywide training at the City of Glendale. Has done a tremendous job putting this program together. And also the young lady sitting next to her, Angela Abramian. She's a customer service rep for the Human Resources Department, who played an integral role in again, the signing up, registration, and processing of participants in this class. So both of them I would like the Commission to thank as well.
Thank you.
Is this class going to continue on in the future, or have budget constraints put a damper on it?
It will continue. In fact, I was meeting with the executives this morning, asking them to nominate names for the next year, for the 2010 year. So we are continuing on. And this is, as I said at the ceremony, this is one of those things that we don't want to skimp on. As you well know, good supervisory and managerial practices are just absolutely integral in making this organization run effectively. And I think I also mentioned that we do this program for a very low cost as far as what we spend on the budget. Most of the classes are taught by in-house people, including myself. I teach 3 of the 10 classes. We have other managers who teach as well. So it's all done in a very cost-effective manner. So we will certainly continue this on as long as there's a need for ongoing effective supervisory and leadership skills.
All right. Thank you very much. Next item.
Job bulletin for approval, fire captain.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this item for your approval is a job bulletin for the sworn position of fire captain. The civil service rules require all sworn safety promotional job bulletins to be brought before the Commission before they're posted. This position of fire captain is, as you know, it's the first line supervisor within the fire department. It's a very important position. This is the individual who leads either a truck or an engine company in responding to various emergencies. And one of the more challenging recruitment processes that we perform. This bulletin before you is consistent with the class specification for fire captain. There's no additional comments or added language. It's completely consistent with our class specification. And the exam process that we have in mind is similar to what we've done before. Essentially, they will start out with a written examination, and then the highest scores on the written examination will advance on to an oral/performance examination process, which will consist of a traditional oral board, a supervisory oral board where they deal with issues relating to supervision and leadership, and most importantly, the third component of that is a tactical exercise where the participants are placed in a real-life scenario, emergency scenario, where they have to essentially make the calls of what resources to call in, what decisions to make. And the candidates are required to pass each step of that recruitment process in order to make the eligible list. So this is another one of those exams where we might start out with quite a number of candidates, and ultimately it gets winnowed down into usually a rather short list. So we do have several retirements that have taken effect, particularly this time of the year, and we will have several vacancies. So with that, present this bulletin for you, and if you have questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. Ms. Hunanian is here as well from my staff who worked on this bulletin, along with Battalion Chief Robert Doyle, who's here, if you have questions.
Any relation?
No. I have no relations in this city.
You have a lot of relations, though.
I have a lot of relations, but they don't work in Glendale.
You and Tiger Woods.
What under experience? What exactly is the difference between a firefighter and a fire engineer?
I guess you're right.
I can probably answer that, but let's.
It's under experience where it says permanent appointment as a fire engineer or 5 years experience in municipal firefighting work, of which 3 years has been with the City of Glendale Fire Department as a firefighter or fire engineer.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, good evening. Bob Doyle, I'm the training chief. The fire engineer is a promoted position. We do an in-house recruitment process for that. That's the apparatus operator. As Matt said, we have trucks and engines, and they're very different functions. They have to be proficient at both of those assignments, as well as certified or able to move up and act fire captain. So it's kind of a stepping stone to the position of fire captain. In an absence of the captain, that engineer will also, superintend the training and the leadership needs of that fire company.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I have a question. So they don't necessarily have to be 3 years as a fire engineer, and they don't necessarily have to be a fire engineer to be promoted to a captain if they meet the other experience requirements.
Yes, sir, that's correct. And the way it's kind of aggregated out there is if
it's a little confusing. But.
Well, if you are a firefighter with 5 years experience, we believe that you have the experience, the fireground prowess, if you will, that measures up to a fire engineer who could promote to engineer sooner than 5 years. But anybody that promotes the position of engineer has a certain experience and ability that they've demonstrated to get to that position. So they kind of ballast out, if you will.
So you could ostensibly be 6 months a fire engineer and beat out somebody's 6 years as a firefighter.
Correct. And you could be 4.5 years on the job, but as an engineer and compete in this process.
But it says permanent appointment as fire engineer, and with that, we require them to be non-probationary.
Non-probationary.
And it's a 1 year. But you can promote into fire captain from either the firefighter position or fire engineer. I guess it used to be preferred that you be at the rank of fire engineer because it is sort of a stepping stone within the line of promotion, but it's not necessarily required. So.
And you say that's a in-house promotion? There's no exam or process they go through as
fire engineer? Going
from firefighter to fire engineer?
What I meant to say or indicate in-house, meaning we're not going to go outside the organization. No, it's a competitive process that it really is one of our more arduous exams. I mean, you have to perform the mechanical functions of an engineer by pumping and calculating all the hydraulic lines and pressures, and all the while be able to articulate how to do it, identify the components of the apparatus, building construction. We just finished that process, which involves getting on the roofs of buildings in our city, understanding the construction and the processes we use to cut holes in the roof. Every facet of the position involving fire prevention, EMS, is involved in that process as well.
But Matt, is that a civil service promotion?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's. I was saying this is probably one of the more challenging exams. I would say the fire engineer is probably the most challenging exam because it's all practical. And as Chief Doyle said, they'll test their ability to do a pumping exercise, to operate an aerial ladder. They have to be able to drive the apparatus around town. And what are the other? Do we still do drafting? And
we do drafting, which is really taking water from a static water source. There's a big difference between getting water from a pond or a lake for a big wildland fire versus off a fire hydrant, which has pressure. And then we also add a acting captain piece to this exam because they're required to move up and act captain as well. So it's a very comprehensive process. So you make that position, you have a very strong likelihood of being successful in the fire captain's process. And that stepping stone's built in by design.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Cantus? Coleman?
Yes. Next item.
Agenda forecast.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, the item before you is the agenda forecast. We traditionally cancel the meeting the week of Christmas, so that is indicated on the report. Our next scheduled meeting is January 13th of 2010. The only item I know of thus far would be a closed session item that's being carried over from this meeting, having to do with a disciplinary action appeal. But between now and then, I'm certain we will have other items. The meeting of January 27th, we will have a report of the advertising budget expenditures for the October through December 2009 time period, as well as hopefully the amendments to the civil service rules. I'm going to give that a shot one more time.
I'll be there.
Got your word on it, huh?
Yeah, you got my word on it.
Okay. One other thing I wanted to mention is we're beginning a sort of a wholesale review of our class specifications to really look at updating many of them. You see and approve the specifications that typically come before you of either new positions or positions that are, their minimum requirements or essential functions are being modified. We have a number of class specifications which have not been modified for many, many years, some of them going back into the 1990s, and we're starting to look at those, and over the course of the next few years, we want to start bringing those back to you just to make sure that they're up to date and that all of the essential functions and minimum requirements of our city jobs are still contemporary. So you'll be seeing a slightly elevated number of specifications the upcoming year. So.
All right. Next item.
Reports and information passed to employee performance evaluations.
Commissioner DeBine, would you like to?
Okay, under no past dues, we have the City Manager's Office, the City Treasurer's Office, Development Services, Fire Department, Water and Power, Human Resources, the Planning Department, and Police Department. And under the first notices, there are several departments that appear to be in need of some review. City Attorney's Office, and the City Clerk's Office, Community Development and Housing, Finance, Information Services, Library, and Public Works. So I think with that, all in all, when you look at the volume of valuations, it appears that most of the departments are doing very well in keeping timely performance.
Members of the Commission, I will remind those who do have first and second notices to work on those.
It's very interesting since we've taken a lot of interest in this particular issue. There hasn't been any third notices in, a couple of years?
Yeah. No offense, but the department heads, as much as they'd love to see you, they don't want to
see us in that capacity.
So that,
all right.
That has worked.
Next item, please.
Civil Service Commission interstaff comments.
Yes, Mr. Gantis.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of matters. First and foremost, three matters. First and foremost, I read in the newspaper today that our interim chief, former interim police chief, Ron DePompa, is now the police chief. I think that's an outstanding choice, and I wanted to publicly congratulate him on his appointment. And secondly, I wanted to publicly apologize to Mr. Doyle for my very inappropriate comment about Tiger Woods. What I meant when I said a lot of relations is the fact that we have 8 brothers and sisters. Is that correct? Or 7 brothers and sisters?
Seven
So there are 8 of them, and that's my point in a lot of relations is I knew you had a very large family. But then I got carried away, as I sometimes do, and I owe you an apology. That was totally inappropriate, and I accept responsibility for that. But I do know that when I meant the relations, I knew you had a lot of family, a lot of family. And of course, Matt's the son of the very well known and well respected professor at GCC, Mark Doyle, who everybody, or those of us that have been around a while, knew and loved very much. Thirdly, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to everybody. I'm done.
Okay. Well, I'd like to wish everybody happy holidays, and hopefully next year we'll bring everyone good health and prosperity.
And I will second that.
All right.
Move to adjourn.
No,
We are adjourned.
We're not adjourned.
We're not adjourned.
we have closed session.
No, I thought it got continued.
We have to.
I guess for the record, we should indicate that closed
All
session.
right. Well,
item,
next item.
Closed session.
Mr. Chair, this item is
For